To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Hello everyone. Today let us discuss about the recent question paper of EIS that had come in November 2022. And I'll be only discussing about EIS paper, and also I'll not be discussing about MCQ questions because those are not in circulation. So let us get started. So in EIS, the first question that you had was for 3 marks. Okay, this was the first question. Let us read the question. It says, in a conventional sense, data is a raw entity, whereas information is the processed entity. Now again, this information is not really relevant for you to answer. Okay, next. An information system model converts data into information. Okay, this is first piece of information. Okay, that you convert your data into information. So the question is, okay, what are those steps? Okay, this is the actual questions. What are those steps involved in accomplishing this in an EIS model? So what is the steps involved in converting data into information? So this question is basically from your chapter number 3. Let us look at the answer. The answer is very simple. There are 4 steps. The first step is the input. You enter the data into the system. Once you enter the data into the system processes the data and an output is generated. And once output is generated, you will also store it for the future purpose. Now, there is also one more additional step, that is the feedback step. Okay, let us discuss the answer. The step number 1 is input. Now, what is input? Whenever there is a system, let us talk about an accounting system. So first you make a transaction. Let us say there is a sale transaction that you make. Now, the information of this sale is, first you have to enter into one accounting software. Okay, that is called as input. So input, data is collected from an organization or from an external environment and converted into suitable format required for processing. So whether you are making sale or purchase, let us take an example of purchase. Let us say you purchase some raw materials. Now, you can't directly scan it and say, okay, this is the journal entry. No, you have to look at that particular bill. There are so many information in the bill that you need to capture. It could be bill date, it could be bill number, it could be what is the item that you purchased, at what price that you purchased, what is the date that you need to make the payment. So all this information that you need to enter into the system. So that first step is called as input. Okay. Once input is done, the second step is processing. You don't have to do the processing. The system does the processing. So what is processing? A process is a series of steps undertaken to achieve desired outcome or goal. Okay. So why are you entering your information into the system? Because you want proper balance sheet. You want proper profit and loss account. So that is the desired outcome that you have. Okay. For that, you input the data into the system. Now, next point is, what happens afterwards? Once you enter all the purchase bills, all the sales bill, all the expenses, all the incomes, okay, then an output is created. Now, what is this output? It could be your balance sheet, it could be a profit and loss account, it could be a trial balance, anything. An output is generated. The system processes the data. That is the step number 2. And then by applying the appropriate procedure on it, and information that's produced is stored for future use, or it is communicated to user. Either you can directly print out the balance sheet or you can store it for the future purpose. Now, storage. Now, this is an important point. Now, where should you store? That is what they are going to talk. They are saying, do you want to store whatever the balance sheet or profit and loss account that you generated? That is an example. Do you want to store it in your computer only, or do you want to store it in some cloud? It could be Google Drive, or you want to store it in some other place. That also you have to decide. The storage of data shall be done at the most detailed level possible. And then they're saying there should be regular backups also should be stored in a geographically different location. Why they're saying it should be stored in a geographically different location? Because imagine you have your computer. In your computer only you're going to store all the profit and loss account, balance sheet and everything else. What if you lose your computer, or by mistake your computer is formatted? All the input is also gone, processing data is also gone, even your output is also gone. So they're saying output you store it in some other device. Okay. And finally, the feedback. Now, apart from these activities, information system also needs feedback that is written to appropriate members of the enterprise to help them to evaluate at the input stage. Now, once the balance sheet is generated, okay, there you get to know that you have one particular column, something called as closing stock, or what we call it as inventory. Now in inventory, you have a value, let us say 50 lakh rupees, but you don't know the quantity, how many kgs of item you have or how many pieces of item you have. So you also need to give feedback to the original input, the person who is doing the input. So you have to tell him saying that you have not entered the quantity related information. So next time onwards, you enter the quantity information. By this way, your system will get better and better. So this is the process. Okay. So that was a very, very simple question for 3 marks. That is question number 1A. Now let us talk about question number 1B. Here, this is also fairly a simple question. What are they saying? Information system audit is the process of attesting objectives that focus on asset safeguarding, data integrity, and management objectives that include effectiveness and efficiency. List the objectives of information system audit. Okay, very simple question, straightforward question. They're saying, give us the objectives of information system audit. What is the objective? Now, if I were to ask, why do you want to go for a movie? Now you have to tell the objective first. You may say, today I'm going for let us say a comedy movie because I want to laugh today, or I want to go for a suspense movie. So there is an objective that you have even before you go to a movie. Okay. Now, similarly, they're asking, if you want to do information system audit, what is the objective? There must be an objective. You will randomly not say that, oh, I have a lot of money in my bank, so I'm just finding a way how to spend it. Okay. So there is an objective for getting your information system audited. So what are those objectives? Again, this is the question from chapter number 3. So what are they asking? Now in the question itself, they have given the objectives. All that you're supposed to do is explaining it. Okay. Now the first objective is safeguarding your assets. Okay. Now, what is asset safeguarding? Let us say, as a company, you have a lot of employees. Let's say you have 100 employees, and during COVID, you allowed 150 employees to work from home. And for all the employees, you have given computer or laptop, one table, one chair, proper furniture, and everything. Now you want to know whether those assets are still there. Imagine you have given 1 lakh rupees of laptop to your employee. Your employee has sold that 1 lakh rupees of laptop and he has purchased just 30,000 rupees of device. So he has a laptop, but not the laptop that you have given to him. Now, how will you find out that whether it is the same laptop that you have given to him or not? That is by way of EIS auditing. So the first objective is they will come and check whether your assets are safe. Okay, so it could be a physical asset, it could be a non-tangible or intangible assets like software. All these things they check. Okay, next objective is data integrity objectives. So they will see whether anybody else has an access to your data, whether anybody else can come and change your data. For example, think you are a bank. Okay, some small bank you started. Now, normally, let us say there is a customer called as Mr. X and his actual balance is 5 lakh rupees. Now, what if he could he can have an access to your system without an authority and change his bank balance from 5 lakh to 50 lakh rupees. Okay. Then he can go to ATM and draw your 50 lakh rupees. So you have to check whether an unauthorized access can happen to your data, whether unauthorized changes can happen to your data. So that is your data integrity objectives. Okay. The next one is system effectiveness objectives. What is system effectiveness and efficiency? Let me take both the points together. Effectiveness talks about whether your data is correct or not. So it is talking about your correctness of the data, and efficiency is talking about speed. Okay. So now if you are if you're using some net banking, you may have seen that some banks softwares are very fast, whereas some bank softwares are not very fast. So who has to say that whether your software is working fast or not? That again happens with an EIS audit. Now effectiveness basically means for a given input, your output has to be same. Imagine you have a calculator. Okay, at home while you're solving all the sums, you're totaling a long balance sheet and amount comes as one figure. But in the exam hall, you're doing the same sum, but the total comes as something else. So now your calculator is fast, so it is efficient, but it is not effective. It is not giving you the correct output every time. So EIS auditor will check all these 4 things. That is whether your assets are there, whether data can be manipulated or changed without proper authority, whether it is giving the correct outputs, and how fast it gives you the results. So these are the objectives of EIS audit. Again, it was a very small question for 2 marks. Okay. So even if you write one sentences for each, you will get all the marks. Now let us go to the next question, that is question number 2A. Now this is a bigger question for 6 marks. Now the question starts with, in the modern era, the business gets well developed by using the automation technique with a greater customer satisfaction of services and products, where customer oriented supply chain is playing a vital role. Again, all this information is not relevant for your answer. This is just to make question look big. Question is very simple. Explain the benefits of automating business process. Okay, why you should not do anything manually. Okay, why you should do automation in your business. Okay, so if you automate your business, again, very simple question. There is quality and consistency. Okay, so in your office, okay, let us again take an example of accounting software itself. Okay, so there is quality and consistency. So whether it is employee A or employee B, okay, as it does not matter who is actually entering the data into the system, your accounting, your balance sheet, profit and loss account will be proper every time. Or else what happens if you are going to allow a human to pass entries? It depends on whether that human actually knows journal entries properly or not. If he wrongly debits something that has to be credited, the quality of your financial statement goes. One more example that you can take, classic example, would be that of ATM. Earlier days, you had to go to your bank to draw the money. Now they've automated the whole process and you just have to go to ATM, put your card, put your PIN and draw the money. So there is consistency. Okay, every time you go, you put the PIN, you will check how much is the balance, you can draw the money. Okay, so it is not dependent on the mood of the cashier at that time. Okay, and it is time saving. Earlier days, you had to stand in the longer queues. Now you just go, insert your debit card, put the PIN, draw the money. It saves a lot of your time. Okay. Third thing is visibility. What is this visibility? See, as long as the human is doing certain things, the management will not be able to see what this person is actually working. One person can actually pretend that he is working certain things, but he may not actually work. But when you automate it, when you automate the process, even the topper level management have a visibility of what exactly is happening in the lower employees, or lower level employees or operational employees. Okay. Next, improved operational efficiency. Now again, olden days, longer queues, but now there is absolutely no queue. A person can quickly go draw the money and come back. These are very generic points. There is governance and reliability. So that is, if you know the PIN, you will get the money. If you don't know the PIN, you will not get the money. Okay, it is not that you go to a cashier and try to use your influence and get the money. If you have the card, if you have the PIN, only then you will get the money. Now, reduce turnaround time. Now, what is this reduced turnaround time? Imagine that in olden times, your sales department is different, your inventory department is different. So somebody calls your sales department, asks, hey, I want 10 HP computers. Do you have it? Now, sales department again will have to send a request to the inventory department to check whether that laptops are there or computers are there. So it will take longer time for the sales department to get back to the customer. But if you automate it, all the data is available at fingertips. So sales department can directly check in the system and you respond to the customer. So there is less turnaround time. And yes, it has reduced a lot of your cost. Okay, you don't have to hire a separate bank employee, who will just count the cash and give to them people. You just have to put a machine which will reduce your cost substantially. So that was an easy 6 marks, provided if you remember all the side points. And let us talk about this question. That is question number 2B. Again, this is for 4 marks. Now, what is the question? Many organizations are moving towards cloud-based technology for storage and thus providing many benefits to the users. Explain any 4 reasons for cloud-based applications comparing to installed applications. So here, they are not just asking what are the advantages of cloud-based application. They are asking you to compare. Compare what? Compare cloud-based application to installed application. What is a cloud-based application? That is something that you can access with the help of internet. What is installed application? That is something that doesn't require internet, but you use it within your computer itself. Okay. So what are the advantages? You're supposed to compare it. The first advantage is installation and maintenance. Now, if it is an offline software or installed application, you have to purchase it. You have to install it in your computer. Okay. and you yourself have to maintain it. Now, when it comes to a cloud-based application, you don't have to install it, you don't have to maintain it. Okay. Sometimes what happens, an installed application will say, I want, 4 GB RAM, or I want, let us say, 12 GB of hard disk space. So as and when the space goes on reducing, the software will start fumbling. It will give you slow results. Whereas in cloud-based application, you may be using a mobile phone, very, very, 5,000 rupees phone also. But still, because the application is not installed in your phone, the processing will be always faster and you don't have to maintain anything. The maintenance will be taken care by the service provider. Second point is accessibility. Okay. So what are they saying? As system software is installed in your computer, user needs to go to the computer. Okay. So during COVID lockdown, we experienced this. So all the systems were in the office, but you could not go to office, so you could not access your system at all. But if you're using a cloud-based application, you could access it even not visiting your office, even from your home, you could access it. Next one is mobile application. So when we talk about install application, that is mostly PC specific. That will be installed only in your computer. You will not be able to access it using your mobile phones or iPad or some other devices. But when we are talking about cloud-based application, all that it requires is you to have a browser. As long as you have a browser, you will be able to access your cloud-based applications. The next point is data storage. Okay. Now, in an installed application, data is stored in your computer. And the advantage of that is you have a complete control over your data. So you can decide who have to have an access, who need not have an access. But whereas cloud accesses or cloud softwares are there or cloud applications are there, the data is not stored in your computer. It is with your service provider. Now, whether he is going to protect your data or not, it depends on your service level agreement. If he decides to sell your data like your Google, then somebody else may have access to your sensitive data. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful when you choose who is storing your data. Next one is data security. Now, again, the continuation of the previous point only, data is in the physical control of the user. User shall have the full physical control. So in cloud, we don't have a proper physical control of the data, but we can always ensure that they take a proper backup by way of your service level agreements. So these are the points that you have to write. So again, the question is for 4 marks. So you don't have to write all the 10 points or 12 points what is available. You may have to write the 6 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here. Sixth point, let us talk about performance. Now performance, see, it depends. If it is an installed application, it is often faster because it is installed in your computer. So you can pass, even if I were to give an example of accounting softwares, if you're using Tally, you can pass, let's say 10 journal entries in a minute. Okay. But if you're using a cloud-based application, you may be able to just pass, let's say 2 or 3 journal entries a minute. So speed of cloud-based application depends on the speed of your internet connectivity and so many other aspects. But installed applications are comparatively faster. Okay. So these are the comparison between installed applications and cloud-based applications. Now, next question is 3A, that is for 6 marks. Okay. Now, what is the question? Let us read. We have been using emails and Google Drive applications for our personal use, which are free versions of cloud computing. However, it makes a major impact in business organization. Nowadays, why companies are migrating? So now question is, they're asking why companies are migrating their business operations to cloud computing environment. Give reasons by highlighting its advantages. So the question is very simple. You're supposed to write the advantages of cloud computing environment. This is it. Okay. Advantages of cloud computing. Again, the question is from 4th chapter. Okay. So what is the first advantage? That is, you can achieve economies of scale. That is, for every additional user, the cost that you have to spend is very less. Okay. I'll give an example. Let us say that if I were to sell my classes using a pen drive, okay, pen drive or a hard disk. So every time there is a user, I have to buy pen drive worth rupees 1,000. I have to incur postage and courier of, let us say, another 200 rupees. Again, postage, so 1,200 rupees that I have to incur. Okay. But if I am teaching through cloud-based applications like Indigo Learn, so for every additional user, I don't have to spend 1,200 rupees. Okay. So once I set it up properly for every additional users, there won't be a lot of added cost. Okay. So I can larger the number of users, For every additional users, my cost will go on reducing. That is called as economies of scale that I can achieve with the help of cloud computing. Next, second thing is I can reduce spending on technology infrastructure. So what are they saying? Data and information can be accessed with minimal upfront spending in a pay-as-you-go approach. So if I were to have everything offline, I have to buy an expensive computer, all the networking devices. So cost is higher. But if I am a startup, I don't want to spend all that money, then I can take cloud services, and how much I'm using, only that much I'm going to pay. So initial capital outflow is going to be very minimal. So that is also another advantage. Third one is I can globalize the workforce. So I don't have to have, what do I say, people traveling to my office. They can sit wherever they are and they can still work. Okay. And cloud computing allows users to globalize their workforce and improve accessibility while shortening training time and new employee learning curves. So even if my employee goes to the client place, all the data that he wants will be within his phone or in his computer. Okay, so he don't have to come back to my office for the data. Now I can also streamline my business processes. I can reduce the capital cost. So these points, these are very, very generic, very easy points. What are the advantages of cloud computing? You have to write. Now again, the question is for how many marks? Question was for 6 marks. So if you write 8 side points, okay, proper side points with proper explanation, you will get 6 marks. If you have written only 6, then maybe 4.5 to or 4 to 4.5 marks that you would get. Now moving on to another question, 3b. Fixed assets process is used to ensure that immovable assets of an enterprise are traced for financial accounting related purposes. In order to accomplish those tasks, what are the typical steps of fixed assets process to follow? So they are saying what are the typical steps of fixed assets process to follow. Okay. Now, whenever I'm talking about fixed asset, okay, see, I'll give an example. Let us say, I have an office and I buy 10 computers. Okay, I buy 10 computers. Then I buy, let us say, 4 vehicles. Okay, so these are my fixed assets. Let us say these are the only 2 fixed assets that I have. Now the question is, as the owner of the business, I want to know where are these fixed assets? What is their condition? So how do I find out? By following a proper fixed asset process. Now, what is the process? The first step, if you see, they say whenever you procure an asset, you are supposed to enter the information into your accounting software. So you will pass one journal entry for purchase of this asset. Very detailed journal entry. You will say who was the vendor, what is the bill number, what is the warranty of the product, guarantee of the product, invoice related details, everything that you will record. So that is the step number 1. So the detail of your car, or details of your vehicles, details of your computers are entered into the system. Next, you also have to register the asset. Okay. Now, what is this registering process is? Okay. Now, if I just say computer account debited to bank, that is not registering the asset. Registering basically means if I have 10 computers or if I have 4 vehicles, I would register an asset. So I would say that, I would give a number, for example, V01, that is vehicle 1, V02, V03, V04. Now I have registered the asset. Every asset I have given one number, and all the details I have added while registering this particular asset so that I can track this easily. And I will say, okay, vehicle number 1 is for office use. So charge depreciation at the rate of 10%. The useful life is 10 years. Asset number 2 charge 20%. Useful life is 5 years. So similarly, so for all the assets, it need not be the same useful life or the same depreciation rate. So depending on every asset, I will register in my software. So the third one is adjusting the assets. What is adjusting the assets? Every year, I will actually see the condition of the asset. Maybe let us say that, I purchased one vehicle which met with an accident. So original value was 5 lakh rupees. But after the accident, the actual value, major accident, actual value of the asset would be just 3 lakh rupees. Now, I can't again show the value of asset as 5 lakh only. I have to reduce the value to 3 lakh rupees. So that is a process of adjusting the value. Okay, I have to decrease, I have to revalue it depending on the condition of the asset. Next, fourth requirement would be, let us say I have 2 offices. Let us say one office I have it in Mangalore and one more office I have it in Delhi. Okay. Now, from my Karnataka office, if I'm transferring my vehicle to Delhi and I want to remove it from my books and I want to bring it to my Delhi branch book, okay? So that also process is followed in fixed assets process. The fifth step is depreciating. I need not explain, you're all accounting students. So every year I have to record for its gradual wear and tear. So every year I have to record for its depreciation. And if I were to sell my assets, I have to record that I have sold the assets, or else what will happen? My books will show that I have still 10 computers and 4 vehicles, whereas in reality, I may have just 6 computers and 2 vehicles. Okay. So every time I dispose it off, I also have to record it in my software. Whatever the profit or loss that I've made, that also has to be recorded. So 3 questions are over. Let us go to move to question number 4. What are they saying in question number 4? So they are saying ABC Bank, one of the largest public sector banks, is planning to deploy and implement core banking system to all its branches. As an IT consultant, suggests the deployment and implementation of CBS at various stages to ensure that banks' automation objectives are achieved. Okay, so if a bank is deciding to come up with their own CBS software, what are the various stages that you have to keep in your mind so that automation objectives are achieved? A simple thing. Let us say that you are owner of, let us say, one bank, let's say HDFC. Now, you are getting a lot of complaint from the customers stating that the net banking is not working properly, or phone and mobile banking is not working properly. So you're like, okay, all right, let us change our net banking into a new software. Now, how are you going to have a step-by-step process? So here, the first step is you have to have a planning. Okay, you have to sit and plan. So this is happening at a strategic level. Okay, you have to have a strategic level of planning where you will say, okay, why exactly I'm doing this? Okay, what is the complaint that I'm receiving? So is it even worth moving to a new software? Okay, so planning has to be done. And once planning is done, you also have to take an approval from higher stakeholders, from your board of directors, because it will involve lot of cost. So that is what they're saying. It requires high investments and it involves recurring costs. So you have to take approval from your higher management. Okay. Next is selection. So once they've said, okay, we are allocating 50 crore rupees. Now in that 50 crore rupees, what are you going to do? You have to select the vendors. The vendors could be for the softwares as well as for your hardware. Okay. So vendors, you can't just, walk into one market, or you just can't open Amazon and start placing the order, because this is bank. So all the infrastructure, you need to source it from a reputed vendors. And next, you have to decide whether you want to design or develop, or design and develop or procure it. That is, do you want to hire software engineers and ask them saying that, okay, develop a software, or you want to approach a software company and say, hey, you already have a CBS software, give it to us. Okay. So you have to decide on that as well. Once that is done, let us say software, you have developed it or you have purchased it from somebody else. You can't directly say, okay, customers use it. Before that, you have to test it. Okay. So testing will be done, and extensive testing will be done to see whether the processing is happening properly. Or else think a customer has only 10,000 in the bank, but he draws from the ATM gives him 1 lakh rupees. That is not something that you would want as a head of the bank. So you have to test it properly, and then once everything is okay, you have to go ahead and implement it. Now implement also, you may say, okay, first step is only for customers of these cities. Next step is going to be for the customers of other cities. So implementation, you can decide, do you want to do it for the whole of the country or whole of the globe, or you want to do it for the particular segment of customers. After that, once you have rolled it out, you also have to regularly maintain your softwares. It may have some bugs, something is not working, application is crashing, you have to maintain it. And if your users are new to the software, you need to support them. They may have so many questions as to how to use this. I'm not getting OTP, or how do I, what is the alternative that I have? So you need to be supportive. You need to have a support team. Okay. Next, updation. Let us say that government comes up with one more law which says that every time a user draws money, 1% of TDS has to be deducted. Okay. So now automatically it has to go and sit in your account, in your CBS software. You can't do it manually. Okay. So you need to constantly update it, and finally you need to audit it from another EIS audit team. Okay. So these are the processes. Very, very simple question. But again, if you remember it, you'll be able to reproduce it in your examination. Right. Let us go to next question, that is question number 4b. What are they saying? In a recent times, new modes of money transfers have replaced the traditional methods of fund transfer, Most of the banks have now introduced digital mode of remittance called EFT, that is electronic fund transfer, which facilitates almost instantaneous transfer of funds. Define EFT and explain its types. Now, this is very, very basic, requires no explanation as such. What is EFT? Okay, earlier days, you would give check and that would take its own sweet time to get it processed. But now we have electronic fund transfer where you have a net banking interface. You go there, you log in, you enter customers details and you send the money. But there are multiple ways you can send the money. One is RTGS for bigger amount of money, that is more than 2 lakh rupees. Now you have NEFT for less than 2 lakh rupees. Okay, so now in NEFT, what is that you do? You initially go to your banking software, you add a beneficiary, you wait for some time. Sometimes it is 1 hour, sometimes it is 24 hours. Once the beneficiary is added, you can directly send the money to them. And also we have something called as IMPS, that is immediate payment service. In NEFT, sometimes you may have to wait for half an hour or one hour. Earlier days, it would take a whole day, but now the time has been substantially reduced. But IMPS is very, very quick, just like how you make a UPI payment, that is PhonePe, Google Pay. Similarly, IMPS also, they will collect some small amount of charges, let's say 5 rupees per transaction or 10 rupees per transaction, but it is very fast. So that is as far as your EFT question is concerned. Again, so this is the bonus question for 4 marks. Okay, very, very simple question, nothing much to think. So 4B is also done. Let us go to the next question that is available, that is question number 5A. So question, let us look at the question. It says computers are used extensively to process data and to provide information for decision making. However, uncontrolled use of computers can have a widespread impact on a society. Explain the factors influencing the need for control and audit of information systems. So here they are talking about what is the need. Okay, now what happens? Let us say one day you say, why am I even spending 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees on IS auditor? Let me not audit my system at all. That is one thing. Or you may say that, why should I even implement controls in my organization? Why there should be preventive control, detective control, corrective control, and so many other controls, environmental, logical access control. I don't want any control. I trust my employees. Okay, I've done interview properly. Let me not have control. Let me not have audit. I'll do my business. We will see what happens. Then you need to go and explain what is the need for control, what is the need for audit. Okay, so what is the need for control, what is the need of audit of your information systems. Again, it is a very lengthy thing. So first, organization cost of data loss. Now imagine you are working in a CEO office. You have hundreds of clients' files. Suddenly, all the files are corrupted. You can't open any of these data. Some ransomware attack or, by mistake, somebody pressed Control A, Shift Delete. All the data is gone. You can't even recover the data. In such situation, you have to sit and redo all the work again from your memory or from other documents. So there is a lot of cost that an organization that you have to incur. That is one, one reason or one need why you need to have controls, and you need to also get your system audited. Next requirement is cost of incorrect decision making. Now let us say, as a business owner, you are making decisions on the basis of profit and loss account or balance sheet that you have. But what if somebody can come and alter your balance sheet? Somebody can come and alter your profit and loss account without permission. Then your decision will be taken on a wrong facts. So that if you're taking a decision on the wrong facts, then the decision is also going to be wrong. Okay. Next, the cost of computer abuse. Okay, if your employees are putting some virus in your system, malware in your system, then you have to pay a lot of ransom to get your data out. Okay, so there is higher amount of cost that you have to pay if your systems are abused. Next is value of computer hardware, software, and personnel. Now, what if your employee takes one computer and goes home and you don't realize only? Or else, what if that your employees are buying software for their personal purpose but charging the bill on your computer for the company? You will never know it. Okay. Or what if your personals are not even working in your organization? So in order to check all these things, you have to have control, and you also need to audit those controls. Now, higher cost of computer error. Now, the beauty of computer is if computers are programmed correctly, it will be right every time. But if it is programmed incorrectly, it will be wrong every time. Okay, so even a small mistake, it will be repetitive, it will be repeated again and again and again and again. Okay, so in order to prevent that, you need to have control in your organization. Then privacy. So unlike olden times where all the files were physical, and unless somebody breaks open your office or your company, they would not have access to your data. But now all your customer data, your supplier data, all the sensitive data are there in cloud, or are there in internet. So it is your duty to protect it. Okay, or else your customers may come back and sue you. And then there is controlled evolution of computers use very generic point that they have put. Let us go to the question 5b. Here the question again, it is for 4-mark question that we have. It says today's ERP systems can cover a wide range of functions such as human resource, supply chain management, customer relationship management, financial, etc., and integrating them into one unified database. As an IT consultant of a company, how will you influence the management to migrate their activities to ERP system by explaining its benefit? Again, irrelevant points. These are nothing. So here they are saying what are the advantages, okay? What are the benefits of your ERP? Now, what is ERP? ERP is one, in a very, very general, simple words, ERP is one software, one big software, okay, which has all the small softwares which handles different fields. So it's a big software which has accounting, it's a big software which has marketing features, it's a big software which has, let us say, sales related features, inventory related features, HR related features. Put together, it becomes one ERP. Okay. So what are the benefits of it? Again, the first benefit of it is, the integration of information. You don't have to enter the same information again and again. Once, let us say that you enter some information in your inventory, it will automatically get updated in your accounting software also. Reduction of lead time. So what is the lead time? Again, they say that the time between placing an order and receiving is known as lead time. The ERP system, by virtue of their integrated nature with many modules like finance, manufacturing, materials, so and so, reduces the lead time and makes it possible for the organization to have the items at the time they are required. So it is very, very simple. Within your organization only, there can be communication gaps. Okay. So now, if everything is put in one software only, all the departments are updated on real-time basis. Okay. The moment sales department receives an order, automatically inventory department will receive a request for some item. If that is not there, automatically manufacturing department will receive an update for manufacturing that. If there are not enough raw materials, automatically purchase department will receive a real-time update saying that purchase these items, and they can go ahead and place the order. So now this will reduce the lead time to procure the items. Okay. On-time shipment. As soon as the order is placed, again, all the departments are interconnected. So as soon as you place the order, the sales department will update your inventory team will update your manufacturing team, manufacturing department will update your purchase team, and product will be manufactured, and automatically the shipment will begin. And again, reduction in cycle time. Now, what is this cycle? There could be so many cycles. For example, there could be procure to pay cycle, or there could be order to cash cycle. You have sold the items, and normally it takes a lot of time for you to recover the money. But if you're using one single software, all the other process of recovery also can be automated. So from the time a sale order is created till the time you recover the money, or let us say in the olden days it was 30 days, now it can be reduced to, let's say, 1 week of time because of all this integration. Now, improved resource utilization. Okay, you can, you don't have to have 5 people for accounting and 5 people for sales. Even one person can handle the whole team with the help of these ERP softwares. And your customers are very happy because customers have a proper information as to when the items will be delivered to them, what is the status of their order in your organization. So everything that they can check. So there are many, but the question is for how many marks? Question is for 4 marks. So if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, it is enough. Okay. And finally, let us go to the optional question. In 5b, there were option. Either you could write the advantages of ERP, or the final question is, one of the major problems of doing online business is of question of security. How do you protect your e-commerce business from intrusion? Okay. So if it is an e-commerce business, So customer will not come to your shop. They will see the items through a browser or an application and place the order. Okay. What if they misuse such things? So how do you protect yourself from intrusion? Or intrusion basically means attack. Okay, or unauthorized access. Okay. So again, the question coming from your fourth chapter. So protect your e-commerce business from intrusion. So they are listed down what are the intrusions that are possible. There could be viruses. You need to have a proper antivirus software and other things. There could be hackers. So use software packages to carry out regular assessment of how vulnerable your website is for hackers. So we call it as vulnerability assessment. Okay. So you hire a team who will try to attack your website to see whether your website is secure or not. Okay. Next one is password. So you should tell employees not to use very weak password like 1234567 or to use their mobile number or their name itself, or you should also ask them to change it very regularly. And next, you also must update your softwares on a regular basis so that you remain updated. Your security system is also very updated. Finally, as far as sensitive data is concerned, you must encrypt the data. Now you must have seen whenever you're entering debit card data into the computer, whenever you're purchasing from an e-commerce website, your debit card data is not directly sent as it is. It may be a 16-digit number or your CVV code or expiry date. It is not sent as a clear text. Let us say that your number is, let us say it is 41110111223 1011. So if it is your number, whenever you're inserting into the computer, it is not sent as it is. If it is sent as it is, then it will be stored in the database as it is. And if somebody were to hack it, they'll get your number. So what basically happens is in your computer itself, when you're placing the order itself, this data will get converted into some encrypted text. So something very gibberish that you can't read and understand it. Okay, it will be something like, C1XHQ111. So many. It's a very lengthy number which will be then stored in the database. So even if somebody were to hack it, they will not really know what is the actual debit card number. So these are the ways how you can safeguard yourself from the intrusions. Okay, know the details of your payment service providers contract. This is one very simple point. So this was your examination, and I would say overall exam was not very difficult. So around 25, or I'd say all the 35 marks came directly from the materials. But 25 marks questions were very easy. I'd say around 10 marks questions, you would be able to recall only if you had revised it properly. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of our discussion. Thank you.